Good evening, everybody. I'm Dan Dubrow with BleedingEagleGreen.com. I'm joined today by my good friend Al, and I've known this guy all my life, so we're going to talk about the big Eagles win today over the Miami Dolphins.
Pow!
And what a game it was. The defense just stepped it up. I don't know what was said or what they drank before the game today, but they stepped it up. They came out with the game overall. The defense had 9 quarterback sacks and 3 turnovers, and it just goes to show you what a good defense will do for you in a game.
Well, the defense looked like they did in the other wins.
Against the Washington Redskins and Giants and the Dallas Cowboys, absolutely. They dialed up the blitz a lot. Juan Castillo, the defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, dialed up the blitz a lot today, and it's obvious. I mean, they just got to the quarterback, Matt Moore, all day, and the win reflects that.
In the beginning of the game, it looked a little bleak for the Eagles for a second. First quarter, the punt block, and then a quick touchdown by the Dolphins, and they made an adjustment on offense. They started blocking all those pass rushers, the Eagles did.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of the Eagles' offense, with the exception of the first series or two, that really didn't amount for much. They really came out and they played well. The offensive line gave Michael Vick a lot of time. There were a few plays where he was under a lot of pressure, but you're not going to have a perfect play every time. If that were the case, the Eagles would be at this point 14-0 or whatever. So they're not undefeated, and there's adjustments that need to be made, mistakes that need to be improved on. But it was a good start. It was a good start to the final 4 weeks of the season, I should say. What do you think? I mean, should the Eagles, should they try and win out the rest of the season?
Oh yeah, absolutely. One thing I want to say that has to do with that is, I've heard a lot of Eagles fans around my job and on the streets and whatnot saying, "Oh, the Eagles are going to get a good draft pick next year if they lose out. If they're done. They're saying the Eagles are done. Hopefully they'll get a good draft pick." No, I'm not with that. I'm the type of fan that I want to see the Eagles win every game. Even if they lose the next 3, I want to see them win the last game. Because I like to watch the Eagles win on Sunday. I'm not thinking about next year.
Well, it does. It builds a lot of good team chemistry that you can build on that going into the 2012 season. And you're absolutely right. You should want to try and win out every game, unless you're the Indianapolis Colts.
For me, if I was a Colts fan, I'd want to see them win the last game, no matter what.
Yeah.
The last 2 games, whatever.
Yeah,
that's the kind of fan I am. I want to watch my team win on Sunday. I can be happy for those 4 hours.
But what is the sense? I mean, other than building the team chemistry, if they're only hurting themselves by getting a lesser draft pick, is there no right now? Well, before the Eagles played today, before they played the Dolphins today and got the win today, they were right around number 6 in the draft. Now, with drafts, I mean, with number 6, there's a couple of ways you can go there. They're not going to go linebacker. I'm going to let every Eagles fan know right now. They're not going linebacker in the first round. I don't see it.
Because that's what everybody thinks they should do.
Well, exactly.
They never know.
Exactly.
They never do what we think they should do.
Realistically, well, what do I think? I think an offensive lineman again. On one of the sides to try and maybe replace Todd Harriman to left tackle and move him back to right tackle and move him back to left guard. And then if that happens, what happens with Evan Mathis?
I would just like to see a stud linebacker come in.
Yeah,
one way or the other.
Yeah, and
either through a trade or a draft, they need a stud linebacker. Bottom line.
And that's a good point to bring up.
And I hope they draft one.
Yeah, well, and I think they should. They definitely need to draft a big linebacker. In my opinion, I think they need to go with a beast in the middle. A lot of people are saying, over on the strong side to replace Moise Foku. I think they need a Brian Urlacher type guy right in the middle of the pack. And to me, That guy is Dante Mayo, or I'm sorry, Monte Teo. My bad. He's a big 260-pound middle linebacker, and that's what they need. They need a hog.
That's right. Yeah.
They need a hog in the middle.
A hog.
So I don't know. I think you look around the league. How many teams are really that hard pressed for a linebacker? In my opinion, Luke Keeley is the only first round linebacker entering the draft. That's just my opinion. He's the top rated linebacker, but I think he's the only one that will be taken in the first round. So you can get a linebacker, a good linebacker, in the second round, is what I'm saying.
Well, if that's what you want to do, I'd rather see one taken in the first round. Let's get back to the game.
So would I.
Let's talk about the game.
So would I, but hold on. I would like to see one in the first round too, but I don't think it's going to happen. Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
I don't see it happening.
Well, let's get back to the game here.
Yeah, getting back to the game.
What did the Eagles do on offense?
The Eagles did a lot. They put up 24 points, and then the 26 points came off of the quarterback sack safety from defensive end Philip Hunt. Pow is right.
Nothing better than a safety.
Nothing better than a safety.
The most satisfying thing I could see my team do is get a safety. I love that.
Other than seeing the quarterback get blitzed and hammered by a linebacker for once, it's something you rarely see in this season. But Casey Matthews, man, you've been under a lot of scrutiny lately, and the fans have harassed your family and made your fiance cry, and I don't believe that's right. But you showed some fury today, and he hit Matt Moore hard. He hit him real hard.
That he did.
So, congratulations there. Hats off to you. Let's see more of it. Let's see a lot more of it. And again, that's all. It's all dialing up the blitz. It's all Juan Castillo and dialing up the blitz.
Some people will probably make the argument that the Dolphins' offense was just that bad, rather than the Eagles' defense playing great. And that's probably a little true, but the Dolphins have been winning.
That's right. Absolutely. They have been winning. And especially at home, in front of their own crowd. Now, it's kind of...
Home crowd?
Yeah. Down there in Miami...
Let's talk about that.
There's a strong showing of Philadelphia Eagles fans down there in Miami. So I don't know who you want to give the home field advantage to.
Let's give a good salute to... down in Miami.
That's right. All the Eagles fans down
came
there
out.
in
That
Miami.
is amazing. That is great.
Taking a sip of our Yingling lagers.
America's oldest brewery. Enjoy it responsibly.
Out of Pottsville, Pennsylvania. My opinion, the greatest beer around. But moving on back to the game.
Who else had a great game? The defensive ends of the Eagles.
Defensive ends had a great game. You hit it right on the nail, Al. Jason Babin, again, coming through with 3 sacks, puts him at, 15? 15 quarterback sacks. And Trent Cole coming through with another 2. Speaking of Jason Babin, go to babinfanclub.com, www.babinfanclub.com. He has these cool little koozies here, and...
Koozies?
Koozies. Yes, that's what I call them, koozies. And I'm sure he'll have a bunch of other merchandise. I'm not sure. That may be open today. That might have opened up its virtual doors today. If not, it's tomorrow on the 11th. Babining is right. That's what's up. So good job, Jason. You did a good job. Thanks for the...
Trent Cole as well.
Absolutely. Jason, thanks for the koozies. And also your web guy down there in South Carolina, Kevin. Yeah. So good job and keep it up for the remainder of the season. And man, you're at 15 sacks. 3 games left. 3 games left. Can Jason Babin get 20 quarterback sacks?
We just need a win.
Yeah.
Every week we just need a win. That's all I care about. But
quarterback sacks helps that.
Yeah. As long as somebody gets some sacks.
Yeah, really.
Good job, Babin.
Yeah, really. I'm kind of... Speaking of that, Trent Cole, he sits at 8 quarterback sacks for the season, and it's kind of uncharacteristic of Cole. You know, everybody thought that, you know, with the additions along the offensive line, with Colin Jenkins at defensive tackle and Jason Babin, you know, who's coming off a Pro Bowl year, his first of the career, you know, that Trent Cole is just going to be a beast.
Well, I think a lot of the other guys' sacks are because the quarterback is running away from Trent Cole.
Up top. Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. You know, maybe a lot of the production from the other guys is the result of everybody trying to double cover or double team against Trent Cole.
Let's talk about Samuels for a second.
Asante Samuel, cornerback Asante Samuel.
Forcing a fumble. Something that he's not known for doing.
Pow!
Pow! That was awesome.
Yeah, that was a huge hit. And not only a forced fumble, but to recover the fumble. Yeah. Superman.
Great presence of mind and hustle right there.
Absolutely. You know,
I hate the critics of so much criticism of Samuels bothers me because he's a smaller guy. He does what he can, but he's a phenomenal player, and he gives 100% every time.
Well, it's like they were saying on 97.5, The Fanatic, earlier about Jason Babin. You know, he does what he does very well. You know, Asante Samuel's not going to be that guy that's going to come in and lay the wood every time. But, you know, you can rely on him to get interceptions. Now, he came through today with a huge hit and a forced fumble, so maybe times are changing here in Philadelphia, but
maybe
we'll see.
Michael Vick had a quiet game, somewhat of a quiet game.
Yeah, he really did. You know, and before we go any further, let's talk about Michael Vick and his recent, basically going out and saying that he was going to better protect himself. He was going to begin sliding feet first, like a normal quarterback should. Did you see any of that today?
Well, I didn't really see him scrambling too much.
Well,
he came out of the pocket. I didn't see him running for forward yardage, but
well, there were
no, I didn't see him slide.
Yeah, there were a couple of times that he was forced out of the pocket and he had to run, and you know he wasn't. He didn't slide feet first. It was once again uncautiously head first.
You gotta play your game. I'm not mad about it. That's his game, and you got to play your game.
Well, he's not mad about it. I am mad about it, and I'm going to tell you why. You're the franchise quarterback, you know, and you were out recently for 3 weeks with rib injuries because of the way that you slide, and the Eagles suffered because of it, you know, with Vince Young in as backup. So, yeah, I kind of end, you know, you say you're going to do it, well, then do it when you had the opportunities, you know. Hey, I'm not going to be too mad. They won the game and he left unscathed. He got out of the game unscathed. So, you know, I'm not too mad about it.
As far as we know.
Yeah. But, you know, he does. He really does have to start sliding feet first. I mean, he's got to better protect himself when running.
I don't think he ever will. But
you might be right about that. You might absolutely be right about that. LaShawn McCoy, running back LaShawn McCoy, he also had a very quiet day, only putting up he had 23 carries, I believe, for, you know, right around 40 yards, which, you know, isn't a real productive day by any means, but he did have the 2 rushing touchdowns, which, you know, puts him at 17 touchdowns on the season, and I believe 14 rushing, and that's right behind the leader for the Philadelphia Eagles, Steve Van Buren, former Eagles running back, who holds it currently with 15 rushing touchdowns, 18 total on the season. So with 3 games left, you know, we could see a change there. You know, LaShawn McCoy in just his 3rd season could become the Eagles' leader for for touchdowns in the season.
And he kind of anchored the offense today. They mixed it up pretty well. It wasn't lopsided as far as passing and running.
The play calling was not lopsided, absolutely not. There was a little bit, they dialed up the passing play a little bit more than they did the run play, but it's been a lot more even than I've seen in recent weeks, or actually all season for that matter.
And that's the way it is when they win.
Yep, and and you bring up a good point, Al, because every time, well, not this case because LaShawn didn't get over 100 yards, but in 4 of the Eagles' wins, LaShawn McCoy was heavily utilized in the game.
Right.
And they got a win as a result of it. Now, again, today, LaShawn didn't get that many yards, right around 40 yards, but they used him to keep the defense on their toes. And not only that, but they used him to end the game for once. They actually ran down the clock on the ground, and that was a beautiful thing. So, Deshaun Jackson. You want to say something?
No, well, we were talking about LaShawn McCoy. I wanted to talk about the Dolphins' big running back. Reggie Bush had a pretty good game, and he was the only guy making plays, except for the Brandon Marshall touchdown. He was the only guy making plays on the Dolphins' offense, and it made the Eagles' defense look great.
Yeah, I believe Reggie Bush ended the day with 93 rushing yards. Either 93 rushing yards or 93 total yards overall. But yeah, either way,
he broke a couple out.
Yeah.
He had some nice runs.
Definitely had a productive day. But, for the most part, the Eagles' defense got it done. They held them in check, a lot. So.
Yeah, he had some first downs, but like you said, they held him in check.
Yeah, they were far and few. And there's one more part about that. And the Eagles' defensive line. Let's give some kudos to those guys today, because not only, and I know we talked about the defensive line earlier, but not only did they produce 5 sacks, 5 quarterback sacks, on numerous third and short situations, fourth and short situations, stop the Miami Dolphins cold stone, stopped them right in their tracks.
Creamery,
and we need to see more of that.
I just threw that out there.
Why not?
Reed made a great challenge on a 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1.
Yes, he did. That ultimately,
Good job by the officials.
Yeah.
Can't say enough about that officiating crew.
Today, no. And most other game of the season, talk to me about that. But today they did a good job, and it was fair on both sides. I mean, the Eagles were called on some penalties too.
You know what? Now that we bring up the officials, kind of thought that Henry got hit.
The kicker?
Yeah, got hit on a punt, and
they did call that.
I thought they called.
You mean?
I don't think they called roughing the kicker.
Oh no, you're right. My fault. That's right. They called holding on the Eagles.
Yeah, they called something on the Eagles.
Yeah.
I don't know how that worked out. Maybe the holding happened first, so maybe that negates the roughing the kicker. But
yeah, well, basically, ultimately, I'm pretty sure.
It looked like the officials made one mistake at that time, but they did a great job. Aside from that,
yeah, and I believe the Dolphins ended up. It was just tacked on to the end of the play, so whatever. I mean, it wasn't a big deal ultimately in the game. Had it been the one play in the game that if they would have gone down and scored and that would have gave them the win, then I would have been boiled red in the face right now. But it was a mistake, and I'll let it slide this week.
Right.
They won't get any rant from me. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Alex Henry, he's hit 11 consecutive field goals now. And after a very rough start to the season, a lot of people questioning was letting David Akers go the right decision. Henry's starting to come into his own.
But if Henry can do it, then it's a good decision.
Yeah. I mean, he's been getting it done lately, and that's obvious that he's been practicing. Getting him in between the posts, and he's also been putting a lot more leg into it too. So, there was a couple there during the beginning of the season that he missed that were, 30, 40 yards.
Well,
low 30s away. So
we could throw those out because he's a rookie.
Yeah, jitters.
But we talked about the Eagles fans in the Miami Stadium. I would like to give a shout out to those Miami cheerleaders. People talk about the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. Those Miami Dolphin cheerleaders make the Cowboy cheerleaders look like a bunch of clowns.
I do like cheerleaders.
They are nice looking. maybe it was the director. Maybe it was the director of the game that focused in close enough that.
Oh yeah, he was intrigued.
Made him look so good. But
there was some intrigue there.
But they did a good job. I wanted to give a shout out to them as well.
Yeah. On the injury front, Darryl Tapp, defensive end Darryl Tapp, left the game with a rib injury. It looks like all his results from early reports are that everything is negative there. So, he's a solid situational pass rusher. I'm a big fan of Darryl's. I talk to Darryl all the time on Twitter. He's a real laid back, a real cool guy. So, I hope this is one guy that the Eagles keep around after the season. I'm pretty sure they will. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they will. But he's a producer. When given the opportunity, I like him as a backup defensive end. So, it's good to hear that Tapp isn't seriously injured or anything like that, and that he'll be able to play next week. Hopefully, we'll see what the official word is after those results come back.
Right. I think Kevin Cobb may have suffered an injury in their game. We want to extend our, what's the word I'm looking for, our gratitude to Kevin Cobb for his hard work put in Philly, and we hope he's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
We hope Cobb's doing good after that injury.
Yeah, it was a pretty brutal hit, a pretty scary hit there. So, you always want to you want to see the hard hits, but you don't like to see the injuries that take players out, and the ones that are the scarier ones. You don't want to see that, but it's a part of the game. Kevin's a tough guy, so I'm sure he'll be able to bounce back from that. But hats off to him.
And with that, Bleeding Eagle Green wants you to remind you to enjoy Yingling responsibly.
Absolutely.
From America's oldest brewery.
Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
Puts an end to the Yingling update.
I'm Dan Dubrow with Bleeding Eagle Green. He's Al.
Pow!
We're checking out. Thanks for checking in.